Sky Power Radio and TV Services Studios, West Yorkshire, Leeds, Stencil Mount. Welcome all on board our weekly civic education program today, Saturday, 29th of November 2025 at 17:18 UK time. Mustafa Jame is my name at the said greetings. Assalamualaikum badingulu ngal kontong mobe dauda nibe watu kebaron Skype radio and TV services studios West Yorkshire Leeds Stencil Mount kal kontong kal bismillah na program min kasudo jang lokungolo kuni yantemben sida civic education program al badi malo Mustafa Jame membe sidin program o kunna yantemben a pocket de will continue and in your feature Skype Power Radio and TV Services Studios West Yorkshire Leeds Stencil Mount the program civic education program and accent Harit Mustafa Jamenekal and feature Rajabi. Wow, come link about how did the Ferek in our Semen Buneka every Saturday we do have a guest or guests that come here to talk us through about topic of relevance. Topic of something that could be that is a real concern for Gambians and every Gambians today. It's about money. We're talking about money. Money is something that the country cannot go without. Tonight we've got our guest today here is Mr. Yusuf Taylor. Yusuf is passionate, and if you hear Yusuf, if you want to know anything about the budget, you know how everything is shared, speak to Yusuf. That's why we single him out to come and talk us through these. But greetings, Balanyo them, you baila Aziz Nzebule mole nyo kontong and the new James in Lundong Aziz Inimara.
Abaraka bake Mustafa be kontona be na lamuela kendo lufana kontona anina luntamba memu Yusuf Teloti anin Suleiman Baji Mbadi Njola atiyom njom ne safi. Lima buga waxte moy am nañ mbekté pour ñëwaat fi toog ak yeen pour waxtaan mbiri réew mi ñu am fi gan go xamné gan gu am maana la gan go xamné xejna jarut sax ñi koy introduce waaye lu téema am lu ma ci wax tuuti rek parce que lu important la ci man te gan gi man dama ko fonka muy Yusuf Taylor léegi ñu woyé ko wala ñu xamé ko ñu bari xamé ko Flex Dan Yusuf dafa nekk koo xamné gan gu am ñaari mbaxana la su la neexee nga ne journaliste la parce que dafa yëngu ci wàlli xarala yeeg xibaar yi di tasaare xibaar waaye itam bu la neexee nga ne civil society activiste la civil society activist nak boko don faram fàcce ci wolof da ngay ne ko xamne dal mbiri askan bi rek moko ñor liggéeyalul nguur liggéeyalul mboppam li ko yitel moy ni réew mi ni doxé ak ban njëriñ la amal askan wi rawatina ci lu jëm ci suñu koom suñu alal suñuy xaalis lempo yi nga xamne mom lañu dajale tekku ci nguur gi Yusuf amna ci interest trop pour xam naka lañ koy dépenso te jaral nako lu bari ndax gis nañ ko ci parlement gis nañ ko mu jaakarlok ay ministre yu yépp def nako fi kon tay buñ amé ku melni koku dañ koy bismillah gërem ko sante ko ci limu nango ñew bu ñëw bokk ak ñun ci jotaay bi pour leeralal waa réew mi suñu askan wi naka la suñu alali réew mi surtout suñ last budget di doxe Yusuf bu fekkee am na lu ma desal ci introduce la nang ko leeral parce que itam ku woy sa boppa doo juum jërëjëf
am na solo jërëjëf Aziz so lu ñoo def mooy Yusuf bon ñu bàyyi la yow it nga nuyoo ak askan bi Yusuf
jërëjëf maa ngi laa nuyu di nuyu listeners yi yëpp wax nga yëpp man daal fooguma ne mun naa yokk anything si loolu because cover nga the main points kontaan naa trop pour nekk fii try neen woon pour am you know this program some weeks ago but unfortunately dañ ko am pour research anytime boo leen ma soxle we just discuss and I'll be more than happy pour ma ñëw waxtaan ak yéen because man moom waa diaspora la specifically Angleterre la nekkoon so kontaan naa trop pour di wax ak suma brothers yi si diaspora bi once more again jërëjëf maa ngi la ñëw di ñëw Sol suma brother bi tamit Sol maa ngi la ñëw because yàgg neen si struggle bi and he's still standing firm waaw yéen yëpp I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you. Greetings, Sol.
Yes, I hope you guys can hear me, and I have to
Loud and
apologize.
clear,
but
yes.
I should be home
Yes.
in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Flex Dan, my brother. Barakabah. Anyway, greetings to you. I think Aziz introduced you well. I just want to add that we have people who are sacrificing a lot and earning pretty much nothing for what they do. Flex Dan is in the parliament most of the time, scrutinizing the National Assembly members for the type of work they do, especially like Aziz says, Timbiri Hali, Komkomi Rewu. But Nyungla Niyu, Dila wax ne jaajëfati for coming to the Sky Power Radio Network program, which is the civic education program. Waaye tamit maa ngi wax ne Flex Dan has different hats comme nu Aziz waxee rek. Okay, Kim Gomsa Bopa. He's engaged with all of these civil society organizations. He is a journalist, but he also, you know, in part of his journalism is spending time at the National Assembly to scrutinize guys. Kuma Daniel Mustafa, Flex can mun nga ñëw may foofu noonu xam-xam tuuti. Man de xam naa ne in the UK and in the United States, the National Assembly or the House, they are the power of the purse, and they draft the budget, and the other entities, the judiciary, the executive, they present what their expenses or what they want to spend, or so to speak, they present a budget of what they want to spend. But the drafters of the budget, the one who looks at what the central bank or the Fed has in terms of money, on foog naa ne National Assembly moo ko war a def ñooy seet lan lañ am si suñu arrankees su ko defee any other sector of the government suñ leen joxee seen budget bi ñu war a spend the following year ñoom mun nañu wax ne am nañ xaalis bi mu daa amuñ ko waaye we are doing things the other way around. We are allowing Adama Barrow and his cabinet to sit down and draft a budget and present it to the National Assembly. And all the National Assembly does mooy ne bii am nañ ko nañ wàññi fii dugal fële wàññi fële dugal fële xam naa ne Flex nañu may xam-xam tuuti si loolu waaye man loolu I shake my head I look at Gambia ma foog ne ñun réewi caaxaan la parce que National Assembly ñoom ñoo war a wax ne ñun ñooy pass budget bi bon ñoom ñoo war a draft budget ne priority si jox leen ñu ko ñun ñu wax leen lan la ñoo spend and lan lañ dul spend waaye it's going the other way around anyway maa ngi emal fii nii daal ñu doon waxtaan bi jërëjëf.
Jërëjëf, thank you. So on Flex, Yusuf, the money, our money, our national money, the budget. I would like to know if you can talk us through about, first of all, the budget, especially the allocation side of the budget. Who wins? Who loses? Where is our country money? Can you talk us through about the 2026 budget? What do you know that I do not know, including Aziz and so on?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question, but I would always say the place I usually start is the citizens' budget. And this year, there's one that is developed by the Center for Budget and Macroeconomic Transparency. It's just 5 pages. Anybody can read it and understand very quickly. You get a grasp of what the budget is saying. And I'll give a very quick summary of some of those things that are there. Although what you've asked is quite a lot, so we'll just break it down into partly few parts. So basically, the government revenue, because the budget is both revenue and expenditure. Naka leen ko waxee si wolof sax mu nekk xaalis boo xamee ne mu ngi ñëw ba pare xaalis boo xamee ne moom la ñoo use every day comme suñ dépense. Wow. So tax revenue is going all the way up to $27 billion. That's what the government is estimating. Last year, the target was 25 billion. So you can see that the tax revenue has increased. Non-tax revenue is 5.19 billion, right? And then the government is expecting project grants, 14 billion, right? Budget support of 3 billion. All in total, that's a total revenue and grants of 50.29 billion. Now, let's go to the expenditure, and you will see why this is important. Keep that number in mind. Soon total revenue and grants, right, is coming up to about 50.29 billion. Now, when you look at the expenditures, debt interest payments, just the debt interest, these are just the interest payments, 6.9 billion will pay. Personnel emoluments, 10.29 billion, right? Use of goods and services, that's 13 billion. Subsidies and transfers, 8 billion. Capital expenditure, 13 billion. And then net expenditure, which is lending and equity, that comes up to 275 million. At the end, we have a total expenditure on net lending of 52.36 billion. Now, if you less, we have a budget deficit, right? A budget deficit of 2 billion. That's what this government is running on, okay, to fund 2026, right? So some of the key things that they expect to do some financing, they will obviously have to borrow. You know, that means that there's going to have to be some borrowing to be able to get that, because they don't estimate the grants will cover that, okay? And even what they are projecting for project grants, 14 billion, we can tell you that that is not realistic, because the maximum this government has had in project grants for any year is 7 billion. Most of the years we get about 4 billion, all right? So what that means, there will still be a further shortage, and that shortage will have to be filled because the expenditures will still surface, right? So with some of those things, I think before I go into the what's it called, the actual, let me highlight some of what we call recurrent expenditures, okay? And now this is very important because this is what they use to run the government, okay? So you have recurrent expenditure. All the expenditure can be split into recurrent and development, and of course debt service, because debt service is neither any of those. It's just that you're paying it back. It should have funded development if you used it wisely, right? Total recurrent expenditure comes up to 45%, which is the highest. 25.7 billion is what we expect to spend on that. That's travel, salaries, allowances, office equipment, furniture, fittings, vehicles, and more. A lot of our monies go to these things. And then development expenditure is 33%. That's about 33.9%. So just say 34%, 20.17 billion. All right. And that's projected total funding for infrastructure development, construction of roads and bridges, hospitals, schools, office buildings, things that bring about development in the country. And then debt service, which is taking so much from our budget. We have about 22% of the budget going to debt service, right? That's about 13.46 billion, which is going to pay principal and, of course, debt interest payments. Now, there's something that we found in our studies, which is that the development expenditures that they project is already, as you can see, less. But if you check what is actually spent on development year on year, you can see that it's even much less than what is already projected, which is less, right? So a lot of the funding which they say they are going to put into development expenditure doesn't actually go to development expenditure. It starts to go back to what? Recurrent expenditure, which is in some aspects, obviously salaries are important. You have to pay people so that they can be able to survive, right? But a lot of some of these other expenditures is dead expenditures, if you could call it that way. So I think that's some of what I can say before I go into the ministries, if you want. Yeah.
Thank you. Greetings, Day.
Yeah, good evening, Flex. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. And to Aziz, I'm a little bit late. I had been on other events, and Mustafa as well. And thank you so much, Flex, to come and really help us. I follow you Facebook and discussing the budget and looking at the expenditures and trying to make people understand it. Just a little bit reminder, we usually use local languages as much as we can because the people complain when we divert into English. People start, so dina baax torop pour ñu at least local language because nit ñi dañ dee binda di ñu woon ne no yéen a ngee divert English. Yes, thank you so much, Flex. Yes.
Jërëjëf Day.
Yes.
No,
Problem with the budget be mooy pour mu wax numbers yi si olof tamit daf dee make a problem. So what I usually do lu ma dee def dama dee am MS moom moo nekk moo even moom sax daf dee struggle ak numbers yi pour wax ko si olof because soo ñëwee pour wax billion ak million sax naka laa ko waxee si olof tamit.
I think Noah is the only person. Noah Moy the only person who would take these numbers in the local languages, and it's scary when he's going. But yes, it's okay to take the numbers in English, just like just like to keep the conversation going, so that the people on the ground understand these things. Context with that. So I think I just join in and. I don't know, Mustafa, because I have a couple of questions, but I can hold until that.
Yes. Before we get into this proper, Yusuf, Balanyo them, I'm interested in because you said 22% go to that interest. So how many percent goes to travel allowance and all allowances? If you can remind me.
We can find that because I have my computer here with me. So travel allowance, travel expenses.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. How many?
Let me just. Yes, we have something here on that, but I have to compile it, right? I think it's going to take me quite a while for me to be able to see.
Let's come back to that. Let's leave that for now. So, Ahande.
Yeah, because Bima Exe, I mean, Flex Yangi Nekondi explain the budget recording and the grants and all these things. Generally, just so generally. One story, lan la new budget 2026 di wax daal lan la wax Gambians in terms of government priorities lan la what is it telling us? Because budget always daf ñoo wax ne fii la nguur gi di war a jaar fii la war a jaay dëkk bi nii laa demee dëkk bi di war a demee nii because loolu tax budget bi important and that's why ñu isi la pour nga yow explain ko because the most important tool li gën a important si dëkk bi mooy budget bi because foofu la ñoo xamee yëpp so budget 2026 bi lan la ñu wax ñun lan la ñu wax lan ay gis seen priorities.
jërëjëf te gis naa travels yi because I have my laptop here. The travels did not them up to expenses, travel expenses, not allowances, right? Did not them up to $518 million. Actually, no, $683 million. Them for next year. Actually, last year, 2024, we spent $518 million on travel expenses, just on travel expenses. So, the question be important na torop. Lan la ñu budget bi wax. This year, Siman, suma gis ne budget bi ñoo woon ne debt service next year dina jël lu bari ci sun budget bi. because of 22% barina. So Lumo by for the other allocations, because someone may out some of them, the next highest priority, see government, more Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Mom dina jël 13.59% of the total GLF. Lulu moy GLF, Government Local Fund. Lulu mo nekk the next priority after sun fayé sun bod. Yaa ngi understand? So sun jógee foofu noonu dinañ gis ne the next high priority si government bi mooy lan Ministry of Health. 7.2% of the budget dina dem foofu noonu. Wante then what I remember ne Ministry of Health at Ministry of Basic and Secondary am neen a lot of staffs di nga gis ne am neen a lot of xaalis boobu noonu xëj na bu waroon a dem si garab ak bu waroon a dem si yeneen equipment pour development xëj na most of it dina dem si recurrent loolu yëpp dinañ ko war a analyse. So suñ xoolee waa third priority because of maa ngi highlight after debt service lan la ñu budget bi wax so loolu si appropriation bi nga ko mën a gis mooy interior mooy lan defense bi border security police all the security apparatus loolu tamit daf dee jël xaalis bu bari 5.4% loolu di nga gis ne about 2.3 billion la 2.3 billion moo war a dem si interior loolu tamit bokk na si the next priority. I can go on gis nañ ne finance which is soo ko xoolee loolu bokk na si one of the things yoo xam ne finance of course ñoom seen liggéey xam nañ ne pour ñu gestu take care of sun finance and economic affairs ñoom tamit nag dañoo jël xaalis bu bari 2.2 billion but understand naa ne National Assembly members yi make nañ some cuts so lu ma wax lii yëpp dafa important pour ma leeral ne lifin la is a draft executive bi cabinet bi loolu moo nekk seen proposal so National Assembly ñoom dinañ ko war a approve def nañ seen cuts def nañ seen cuts def nañ seen additions some in some areas am naa some information si loolu tamit si kanam mun naa explain some of those cuts fan la xewee ak fan gaay def yeneen xaalis why because of loo ma laajte important na pour ñu leeral ne National Assembly members yi ñoom itam dinañ experience lu ñu oo a salary increase okay salary increase dina am pour National Assembly members ñoom dinañ war a increase seen salaries by 50%. Okay last year salaries increase xewoon na across the board dafa nekkoon around 30%. loolu leen yokkoon si salaries yi waaw wante da nga gis ne ñu nekkoon si ron amoon nañ higher salary increase ñu nekk si kaw even much less than 30%. Okay so generally 30% la woon but dafa important pour ma leeral ne government dafa indi woon lu ñu oo pay scale lowest salary pay scale bi léegi te man fact check naa loolu ñëw na ba $6,000 so but to put everything in context moo tax may wax loolu so léegi dinañ ñëw si salaries of National Assembly members dinañ gis ne National Assembly members seen salaries yi you want to come in before I come somebody
No, go ahead.
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes, so we can go on to salaries of National Assembly members. Lee dafa nekk salaries comme the global salaries, but ba ma ubbi suma document boo xamee ne am na di salaries as in not global salaries boo xamee ne dina gën a make sense si nit yi. Speaker salary bi right now $100,000. Okay, overall speaker bi it was 1.2 million for the year. So divided by 12, obviously 100,000. Wow. So lulu dafa yokku dem be 50% mu nekk 150,000. Okay. Speaker bi salary am su yokkee moom ak vice president dina nekk di am the same. Currently vice president is on 1.8 million mu nekk same 150,000. Te li lu ñu oo basic salaries. Because of gestuna am neen yeneen allowances, roving allowance, professional allowance, dinañ am sitting allowance am nañ even telephone allowance ak yeneen allowance waaw am nañ benn allowance boo xam ne bu ees la pour speaker bi gis naa ko fa so am nañ yooyu allowance yi so ma inform leen loolu obviously suñ tukkiyee tamit am nañ other allowances si loolu so just to put everything into context so vice president currently moom 1.8 million moo nekk basic salary right so moom speaker bi right now 1.2 million la nekk di am while next year dina dem up to 1.8 million mu nekk with the vice president ñoom ñaar suñ ñëwee ci deputy speaker bi moom salary am 70,000 as we speak this year right so the general is $840,000 that they take home for the year but léegi suñu yokkee loolu 35,000 nañ ko yokka of course so divided 70 50% mu nekk 105,000 la deputy speaker bi di am next year te lii understand naa ne lifin nañ ko approve nañ right because of I spoke to a parliamentarian just yesterday to confirm this this has been approved so lii is approved so deputy speaker moom salary am dina increase from 840,000 per year mu nekk 70,000 per month to 105,000 per month right dina dem be $1.26 million per year okay loolu moo nekk 105,000 per month moom the significance mooy ne salary am dafa top léegi chief justice bi mu ngi à 941,000 right per year okay so ko divide anguma boobu noonu so boobu naa ko bàyyi ma move on all right so majority leader moom itam dina am salary increase ak minority leader seen increase will be from 58,560 to 87,836 per month minority leader moom dina am from 55,000 dina dem up to 82,875 ordinary member moo nekk member boo xam ne nekkut si any of those right moom dina increase from 52,000 moom la gaay di earn this year to 78,000 right so loolu tamit soo ko gestuwee bu ma ko gestuwee ma def calculation bi yëpp ma xool lan la moo cost Gambian taxpayers just for members te ñu ne salary increases yi yo nekkut si on all the other areas ak seen yeneen staff $18.5 million la moo nekk increase salaries so loolu leen gis with regards to the National Assembly members and the salary increase so I can let you guys come in since highlight now some of government priorities and salary increases you wanna help I have some munna check some of files I have some of the amendments you guys don't def
Mr. Taylor thank you so much man dafa am area yoo laal waaye am na boo xam ne laaluloo ko wax nga fi affaire education muy loo xam ne dañ ko rafetlu wax nga fi bunti health wax nga fi interior waaye dégguma agriculture fan la ci nguur gi tollu ci agriculture boobu ñaata lañ ci jagleel baykat yi loolu important na ci man torop xaw ma ndax di ñu ci mën a indi leeral
am nañ si in fact loolu sax dañ si def benn fact check because of finance minister bi ñëwoon si parliament daf si baako ne agriculture attracts an increase of 84% in 2026 from 2025 the largest allocation in the last 10 years waaw bu ko fact checkee loolu dëgg la agriculture then increase from 961 million last year when approved to 1.7 billion next year lolu moneka si propose from cabinet so we'll have to see what National Assembly members will do with that but agriculture lumala si muna yota moneka a lot of the funding bu gaay di binda for approve for agriculture that they jógee from some international partners te buñ gestu di xool how naka la agriculture def gis nañ ne agriculture daf dey struggle partners yooyu noonu either one sun gaay fii Gambia ñu ngi receive some of these grants and nekkuñ di ko disclose because ñun buñ nekkoon si benn plateforme ak finance ñu ngi doon complain mbiri loolu because dama bëgg ngeen understand something lu dee si agriculture a lot of these agencies a lot of these things then they focus so much on send donor funding that send accounting procedures like I did at the top. So then they sometimes neglect some own local reporting. So some of it do they know. But Tamil Gomnana is a combination. Money is coming and limo they cause leakages. Because of today Munulo def yini, government bidimuna check because of from what I'm seeing, a lot of agriculture funding, right, is not actualized. A lot of it is not actualized. Yes. So, but I will let you go to come in. Today, I'm any specific. Allow, for example, London, I'm seeing input subsidies for 2026. How many for fertilizer? Jogging.
xam naa ndey dafa bëgg a ñëw waaye
dama bëggoon rek Felix mu clarify tuuti rek nit yi because xam nga we are talking of local ordinary people yi ne soo ne lot of these things actualize suñ ko lan nga mean si loolu ne a lot of these actual so that nit ñi understand ko because we try to really break this to the level for people to get it.
Wow. So lu ma mean si loolu comme government budget bi plan budget bi dafa government bi dafa ne lii la ñoo def next year nii laay spendé si agriculture mu ñëw mu baaku ne dinañ def xaalis bu bari foofu nu waaye suñ demee ba the end of the year buñ ñëwee pour xool lan la actually government spend si line boobu noonu because loolu daf dee jël time for example 2025 comme que at bi jeexut duñ mun a xam funding of 2025 sometimes most of the time because of duñ dee joxe information a lot of times the third quarter or so or second quarter of the year si la ñoo xam naka leen spendé xaalis boobu noonu ñun léegi suñ dooree di gestu te foofu la nit yu bari dul xool ndax government lu mu planoon ndax loolu la def dañ dee gis ne si agriculture daf dee du dee aaga government su plané for example mun naa leen a jox some examples right for example suñ xoolee agriculture in 2024 80% of lu government plan on pour spend si GLF moo nekk government local fund len spend in reality yaa ngi understand 80% of what government approved to spend in GLF that's what we spent then so xoolee si grant si all funds right it's even worse because of all funds léegi yaa ngi xool grant si ak loolu noonu dafa it bring the whole thing down to 26%. loolu mu laa woon ne the grants agriculture funding is heavily dependent on these grants ba pare grants yooyu noonu dundee ñëw so I hope ne loolu try na pour explain a little bit pour nit ci understand ne the main point moo nekk lu ndee propose lu ndee wax ne lii la ñëw def si agriculture soo ñëwee nga check du dee aaga loolu la mi
So I mean bala ma rek assisté but Yusuf so that means government prioritize with agriculture suñ mu ne understand budget bi ak fan la suñ xaalis yi nekk di dem meaning ne agriculture dañ ko bàyyi si loxo tubaab bi parce que loolu laay wax parce que foofu lañ dee jëlee xaalis.
Wow, loolu moom loolu la mean but gis nañ a huge rise with regards to percentage from comme ministre bi lu mu wax tamit increase nañ ko gis jox naa leen figures yi ne from 961 million yokka nañ ko all the way up to 1.7 billion. Wow. What soo ko xoolee in the grand scheme of things right comme mu nekk lu nekk di latte soo xoolee agriculture mun naa laa wax for example how much percent la jël maa ngi ko just right so 4% of the budget la jël 4% of the budget 1.7 billion so loolu mu laa woon ne nekkul si top 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 of the government priority. Wow.
Yeah. So that means Asi so buggee ñëw mun ngaa ñëw, but dama bëgg just follow up mun naa laa lifin. Then flex problème bi ñu am dafa mel ni gisuloo benn alignment daal ak lu nguur gi di wax ne lii la ñoo def pour development and lii la xaalis bii lañ fa dugal.
Yes, in fact, lolu bokana si lu civil society because comme no ko waxe bokana si civil society te man ak Center for Budget and Macroeconomic Transparency submit a position paper to Honorable Alaji S. Dabo. We highlight how much development expenditure is not being prioritized because of lolu fofu len dey jël pour ñu achieve national development plan. The government bi nguur bi ci bopam mo ñew mu wax ne li moy development plan bi lii la ñoo def pour ñu mun a yóbbu Gambia kanam te xaalis bii nii leen nit because of léegi development plan bi dafa ànd ak financing document boo xam ne mu ngi try pour put some little bit of sense to it but suñu xoolee ñu because of soo xoolee development plan 5 years la right over 5 year period so that means ne soo jëlee 5 budget nga teglante leen right finance sense bi dafa war a relate ak development plan bi pour ñu mun a achieve lu ñu wax si development plan bi xam nga ndax loolu mu ngi make sense dama bëgg nit yi ñu have an entirely different outlook su ñu xool budget tool la pour ñu achieve the development plan so in that sense ñun luñ nekk di wax mooy gisun a correlation between budgety government bi ak national development plan bi te loolu lu mu miin moo nekk duñ mun a aaga fu ñu bugg a aaga waaw gis nañ ko si previous development plan ñaata percent leen wax ne leen achieve ñaata percent la ñoo mun a wax leen achieve si 2027 is when this development plan will have to finish so really loolu bokk na si one of soon recommendations definitely.
Ndax Mustafa, my last thing, because budget has always been this I mean it's really critical ndax budget bi address na jafe-jafe doomi Gambia ni for example price yi ñu ngi eeg ñaaka liggéey bi ñu ngi gis xale yaa ngi dem back way is even mu ngi gën a eeg nit ñi amuñ liggéey ñu ngi ut liggéey price yi si nit ñaa ngi ko gis mu ngi eeg public service bi tamit ñu ngi gis ne seen liggéey defuñ ko nu ko war a defee because boobu tamit affaire ndax budget bi ak address na that reality nit yi yow noo ko gisee sa analyse.
Yeah, lolu luta ngalate lolu tamit amna solo because of gis nañ ne government bi just yaagut bu ñëw vice president bi di ñëw di respond ne mënu ñoo track how many jobs they create lolu mo la mi ne government policy bi pour ñu track pour ñu create 150,000 jobs lolu mënu ko track so lolu is indirectly yaa ngi wax ne mënu loo wax lan mooy impact ci budget bi ñoom seen boppa because man bokk naa si ñoo xam ne yaaga naa di leen question on this specific issue ñaata jobs leen create within so far because of development initiative or employment plan boobu noonu 150,000 jobs start na depuis 2022-23 right so léegi ñu ngi 2025 2 years going on ndax ñu ngi on target ñu ngi struggle pour am information but lolu luñ mën a go of moo nekk the Gambia Labour Force Survey right 2025 okay boobu wax na dara right the Labour Force Survey so lolu gis nañ ne unemployment ñu ne dafa increase from about 7% to about 8%. So unemployment generally is on the increase. All right. But pare gis nañ ne youth not in employment ak yooyu noonu ñoom itam am nañ foofu challenge. But higher education investment, TVET, bokk na si one of the main important ways boo xam ne government dina mun a sorry dama bëggoon a ñëw foofu si education sa interesting part foog naa ne I know you have a keen interest there. So higher education, gis nañ ne bokk na si one of the most important issues pour ñu mun a make sure ne youth mun a am jobs because of léegi TVET and that they are thinking about employment. So then, if you guys watch just our Tigo on Askan, we just yesterday I published a video where I was asking the minister for higher education.
Police echoing there. For now,
Aziz.
there is echo. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So I'm not like I was just asking them about this thing about employment. And so because the EU is investing 20 million euros, which is about $1.7 billion, right, over 5 years for secondary education targeting women and men from minority and those kind of things. And I asked them about, are they thinking about where they're going to put all these people when they finish training them? So TVET is one of the important areas, obviously. And the government, they responded to explain that they are trying to target people towards those more self-employable skills, right? So what is the government investing in higher education this year, all right? Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Science is being given, according to the cabinet proposal, $421 million, which translates to less than 1%, 0.97% of the GLF, that's the government local fund. So when you compare that to Office of the President, which previously included the Vice President's office, right? For Office of the President alone is $740 million. That's 1.7%, all right? Now, if you add Office of the President to Office of the Vice President, which is $370 million, you get over $1.1 billion, all right? So this gives you an idea of the government's priority when it comes to ensuring that young people have employment. So we can also look at Ministry of Youth and Sports, okay? At another area, okay? 146 million is being set aside for Ministry of Youth and Sports, translating to 0.34%, all right? Okay, they always argue that youth issues are cross-cutting. So in all these different sectors, clearly, youth is involved. But this is what we can say for now from these statistics. When you talk about youth employment, and even when you say youth and sports, remember, our football is also dependent on that. Although I must highlight that the stadium is under the Ministry of Infrastructure, Works and Works, yes, and that's what the stadium is on. So you'll find that allocation under there.
Then Felix, suñ dégloo li nga wax ba pare wane ne prioritize nañ TVET mooy métier foo xam ne xale yi dinañ mun a jànga métier waaye xam nga jànga métier ak den ñu ngi wax bi nga explain tamit ne fu ñoo mun a create job waaye mun ngaa jànga métier ba pare nga pare amuloo liggéey parce que gis nañ
moo nekk di xew Gambia.
waaw léegi youth si tamit yaa ngi ne less money la ñoo jox youth si Ministry of Youth waaye ba léegi gisaguñ foo xam ne ñu ngi wax ne job creation actually ne xëj na yaa ngi teg money for entrepreneurship ne di nga jox xale yi ñoo xam ne xëj na mun nañoo satal seen boppa defar seen boppa gisuñ yooyu noonu gisuñ also agriculture buñ neglect waaye nga xam ne di nga mun a wax industry ñu ngi try pour semi industry tamit loolu tamit dafa mel ni dunoo xëju fa léegi général yaa ngi doon wax deb bi ma dugga see so ñun that means ne suñ xaalis bi deb bi li ñoo àbba mu ngee bari waaye ndax xam nañ fan li ñoo àbba fan lañ ko dee dugal ndax loolu tamit clair na si budget bi ne ñun ñu ngee àbba di àbba waaye suñ problème yi solve mu ngee gën a garaaw di garaaw ba pare ñu ngee gën a amel bor dafa mel ni nga leb tey ma ñëw leb la yow flextaan den ma ñëwaati lebaati la ma ñëwaat lebaati la te fayuma ba léegi bor yi ma amee ndax loolu
loolu moom dafa yaaga nekk suñ challenge pour ñu mun a track fan la bor yooyu noonu di duga ndax lu plan pour achieve da am nañ ko si bor yooyu noonu loolu yëpp challenge la waaye mun naa la wax ne soo xoolee si support to youth and enterprise development am nañ some information si loolu lu ma gis mooy in 2024 mooy last year spend nañ actuals la 35.8 million on support to to youth and enterprise development. Okay, loolu dafa include youth empowerment at NYC foofu la ak subvention am nekka operating cost ak personal emoluments, national youth service ak apprenticeship bi foofu la bokka ñoom 11 million leen am. NYC youth empowerment ñoom 8.7 million leen am. Youth and women enterprise development mooy NEDI boobu tamit dafa important trop mooy 7.7 million la gaay am ñoom, right? Ba pare am leen from support to youth skills and development PIA presidential foog naa ne mooy PIA presidential international award scheme boobu noonu 7 million dugga na fa. Promotion and development of sports boobu ñoom am leen 15 million, all right, in general. So gis neen some of those things. Am na some things tamit li ma gis loolu si actual si. So léegi but pour jox leen similarly next year what they plan for them is 46 million. That's what they've planned for them. General support to youth and enterprise development. Te loolu dafa consist of those areas you ma highlight. Am na something loo xam naa ne yow moom ndey di nga si interest moo nekk the Women Enterprise Development Fund. Te loolu war nañ ko bàyyi, right? Because of loolu xaalis bu bari daf si dee dem every year, but fan la moo dem si ñan la moo dem because of dafa nekk fond boo xam ne toppa naa ko bu yàgg. Dafa war a nekk fond boo xam ne rolling fund jigéen yi dañ leen a aaba ñoom ñu jël ko si seen kafoo yi after buñ ko amee ñoom suñ mekkee seen xaalis ñu delloo beneen groupe mu ñëw, but man si lu ma gis dafa politicize, right? Because of yaay company ñoom lañ koo jox so ñoom itam dañ ko gisee in one way ne lii is some sort of a appeasement pour seen dugaay di def but rolling bi nekkut fa because of suma highlighté naka la xaalis bi di increase yéen seen boppa di ngeen gis because rolling su fa amee di nga gis ne lu ma miin rolling su doon rolling fund la di nga gis ne xaalis bu ñoo laajte from government dina wàññi ba fund bi dafa sustainable. Loolu mooy idea, okay, from the beginning because I was there depuis bu ñoom Honorable Tuma much earlier before they brought it and when they brought it, and they were going around trying to sensitize women pour ñu xam luy xew di xam neen ne politicization bi mooy ñëw. So the issue is they are not returning it. I have that information. Anyways, 2024, 10 million la guy actually spent. You see, sometimes the young gis ñu dem si seen toos yi, you know, ñu award jigéen yi ay yeneen ay yeneen. Some of these things leen war a xool ñu gis fan la xaalis yooyu noonu di jóge. Okay, so in 2025 approved nañ woon 15 million pour ñu spend foofu. Yeah, next year they're proposing 16.6 million. Okay, so loolu tamit mu ngi fi pour ñu ko Women's Enterprise Fund yàgg naa ko toppa. It's another aspect pour comme pour dooleel jigéen yi dooleel youths yi. Yeah, to be fair to government to highlight lan la nekk di def. Yeah.
Why Flex, even that enterprise revolving fund is quite interesting parce que ñu ngi gis ne jigéen yaa ngi si naa koy si li ñu ngi complain simple thing like fence, simple thing like borehole, ñu ngi complain ba léegi these things as well. Te revolving fund boobu fa li nga wax la the politicization of these things, actually even the youths, even it's like everything lu nekk daal politicize nañ ko mel ni demut in the right direction. That means the budget nekkut di address li war a address. The budget is more political because man li ma dee wax ne 2026 budget bi man I see it as an election budget, and then hopefully lawmakers they will look at this properly.
Agree.
Because one question la amati before I hand over probably to Mustafa, mooy ne suñ xoolee the whole chunk of the thing situation bi ñoo dem ni bu ñoo gis ni policy makers yi ñu ngi wax ne dañoo increase seen salary si. How with this hardship, how man naka nga analyse loolu with this hardship, why are they receiving like why la tax ñuy laajte xaalis bu bare te pour yokk seen li ñoo am parce que average Gambian bi 5,000 6,000 10,000 la tax li suñ lawmakers si am National Assembly MPs liñ am already lan tax ñuy laajte waat moo si coono bi nekk right now si dëkk bi coono bi ni lana ko justify.
Yeah, you see, Lulu, ñoom fu ko wéree moo nekk last year bokkun woon si salary increases, so ñoom dem war a am increase. Why said increase bi soo ko xoolee, okay? Because lu wax moo nekk then highlight ne National Assembly ordinary member, all right, moom dina dem di achieve up to 78,000. 78,000. So go divided by 6. 13 times. The lulu send basic salary rek.
Te loolu weer bu nekk
allowances. 6,000 boobu noonu bu ma wax for the lowest grade. Yes. Bokk na si seen allowances ak yeneen. You see? So, da nga gis ne 13 low grade di moo ñëw taxaw for one member. Just put basic salary. Yokun the other aspects. We want the disparities between the rich and the poor in Gambia. Man dama dey wax ne salary Gambia ñun ñu ko dee defee dafa ad hoc. Te loolu bokk na si one of some major problem. It's not underpinned by lan moo nekk di minimum wage or standard of living or cost of living. Different analysis sound ñu peg ko foofu noonu and then ñu am a limit for the highest comme ñu multiply boo xam ne dinañ mun a gis mu make sense. Maybe you know, president waruta earn more than 10. Because of in Gambia, the minimum wage, definitely it should not be anything below 20,000. So for example, a president who earn times 10 of that, that's 200,000. Maybe you want to say a president earn times 15 of that, that's 300,000. At least you've pegged it to make sense. Yamagis, member stamp same. You peg it. You understand? For Nyunda Gambia, it's not underpinned by anything loo xam ne siman make no sense. It's one way of in a way soon amee National Assembly members yi am a salary rise léegi lan la loolu di mean for ñu scrutinize the executive also so ñeneen aspects yi di laajte increases yi then what does that mean? So you open up the floodgates, so it's unfortunate even though members some of them were come Bakari Bagi, I must mention him. He was advocating the Warum Your Pass salary increase bill. And some other members, they were also advocating, but they were drowned out by most of the other members.
But what does this tell? Lan la li was this lawmakers because su ordinary Gambian be this struggle te salary ordinary Gambian be increase ko ami ordinary Gambian be yokuwut. Lawmakers who were talk liggéey law bi te was it 2023 new amount salary increasement? Was it there was a year they had salary increasement?
2023, 2024.
Yeah. So am nañ salary increasement léegi ñu ñëwati waat di increase seen salary yaa ngi wane 75,000 te loolu waxaguñ other allowances si bokk.
Yeah, no, but ñoom bokkuñ woon si salary pay scale increase bi last year. Definitely they were not involved. They were not.
But there was a year they increased their salary. Was it?
Yeah, those was some years back. Government below Lalawa, they have an ad hoc way of increasing salaries. They increased salaries some years back. That's true. But last year, the most recent salary increase, they did not increase the parliamentarians. That's where they are. That's what they are arguing.
But Flex, I just have one question, just analysis. Would it be ethical or justified for lawmakers at this stage and with all these allowances to increase their salaries?
Definitely, Simon. The only way this government can deal with salaries in a comprehensive way, Monica lawmakers, Monica put new order a minimum wage. Have a minimum wage. Look at Monica, the cost of living. After you have a minimum wage, then you peg every salary pay scale. Great. Yeah. Based on a multiply. Well, how many? So you okay minimum wage with it? Everything takes care of itself.
Exactly. Like they do in other countries as well.
Thank you. Complete is not rocket science. No man I'm bringing some brand new philosophy. These things are happening everywhere. You see, so I think as long as definitely Lulu, because of little our Lulu, just earlier this year, you remember judiciary in England done a
Yes.
salary increase, which was not um, approved by Parliament, which is a fireable offense to me for the finance minister and those who are allowed that because of the budget is already issued and the budget contains all the salaries, everything, it sets what should be paid. So you go beyond that and you flout the budget and you say that no, you are going to pay them more, and then you now try to bring some sort of a law to sort of bring their increase, and then you know it's not going to pass, you start to withdraw it. So now what happens? Then you go bring the salary back down. So these are some of the things which shows you the way that salaries are being haphazardly being used. In some instances, they use it just before elections. Yes. You see, like we've seen in the past. You see, so everybody is happy. The youths are happy. The workers are happy. So these are some of the things which we are seeing. Like, for example, I will have to add that we've seen a salary that is for the alcalos and the chiefs and the, you know, that has been sanctioned by, it's been put in. It's in this budget. So this thing was not there before. So these are some of the things that we mean, just to give some example before people say that we are just making blanket statements. But these are facts. And this is what is happening. Yes.
And that takes me to the issue of local government, because local council, because we've seen gis nañ ne council si dañoo complain ne government nekkul leen jox subventions ba pare government bi xaalis bi ñu leen war a jox nangu du leen ko dee jox dimbale bi ñu leen war a dimbale duñu leen ko dee dimbale. Naka la loolu mel? How do you see that? Naka nga gisee loolu? Because dafa mel ni budget bi all the time daf dee wàññi doole local council si pour ñu mun a def seen services like mbalit yi ñu ngi koo wax ñu ngi wax yenay marché yi gars yi soxlaa yooyu noonu tali yi léegi-le small tali yi ni tamit how dafa mel ni loolu nekkul interest government bi daal si biir budget bi.
Well, I mean, the budget is a political tool, clearly. Government bit of they use budget for politics.
That shouldn't be the case, isn't it?
Yeah, it shouldn't be the case.
In Norway, the budget is not political. Even in England, because I lived in England before. Budget is a tool pour ñëpp la, because government bi the moment you elect ko mom even ñu ko saanilu sax dafa make so pour am leen next election, because dafa make so ne address na issue. So you are addressing national issue li affect nit ñi instead of nga politicize ko. Of course, I wrote about it as well. This is a 2026 budget. It's an election budget, and the MPs need to check. But so MPs increase in salaries at the expense of the masses. Then you see trouble bumak, because no ñoo wara set affaire ñoo mëna control affairs. So budget warta nek a political tool. Dafa wara nek luy solve problem. In fact, should be also thing lo xamne sa nguur gi mën na ko use pour win ñoo xamne supporting ko sax, because mu ngi address unemployment. Xale yaa ngi gëna dem back way. We see them like Ibrahima migrant yim de wone. You see it's like dafa gëna lifin gëna garaaw. Liggéey amul, drugs is a problem for young people. Unemployment baa ngi garaaw. Sacha yaa ngi garaaw. And all these things are happening suñ xoolee budget youth building. I explain the youth. It's like it's a drop. Degala, young people dafa cut across the budget dafa cut across. But agriculture is neglected. You are talking about job creation. Yes, SMEC, fine. But how many of these people ñoom lañ dee train ba pare jox la capital ne startal? Because you can train entrepreneurs like we are seeing ni ko gisee Gambia. Mu nga train entrepreneurs yëpp saani leen si biir dëkk bi waaye suñu amul capital bi ñoo start du mën a dem, because fii Norway they have that name. They help these SMEs. They have incubators. You learn dimbale pare so pare you jola lunga muna tobe sa tanka at least. So then, and then not only that, then like just support of business developers, ñoo xamne nañ la toppa in the process pour help na dinga succeed. Yeah, some people don't succeed, but do they wara nekane because awma the resources or the support.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And for example, this year gis nañ ne I see a problem, for example, even gis nañ the groundnut season, right? Lan la government be announced. You know, these are all important because of the government has an important role to play. For example, all of agricultural inputs, right? Let me give you some numbers. Pour ngeen gis lan moo nekk di xew si area of agriculture. The government actually spent just $3 million in agricultural inputs in 2024, right? Last year they approved $11 million. Okay, but this year they proposed $106 million. Okay, now if you go and you check, and if I have time, I would be able to check to see what they approved for 2024, so that I can see was it $3 million. But you can see the jump between actuals and approved, right? So that tells you that we are not actually really investing in agricultural inputs, okay? So, but there's another input subsidy, all right, which is also there, and I think it's important for me to bring that up, and that input subsidy has seen a big shift. There, though, they spent 381 million on input subsidies, all right? 507 million was approved last year for this year, 2025. But 1.3 billion is what they are estimating for the following year. So sometimes, yeah, these numbers look very fanciful, and but they don't actually come up. So this is one of the things that is used sometimes. You know, people will get some false hopes, but then what ends up actually being executed becomes another thing entirely. So, I mean, the budget shouldn't be a political tool. It should be
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Media bi ak civil society bi muna def pour make sure ne budget bi mu ngi reflect the needs of Gambian people. Naka la gaay muna def civil society and media pour pressurize government to make sure ne xaalis bi agana si nit yi nga xam ne politicize suñ ko joxuñ ko seen yaay company or seen youth si. How one role nga for civil society we have in this and the media as well, because like what you do, what you're doing really is really great. As a media house, you explain this budget, break it into different dissect kodal pour nit ñi mun ko understand. But what kind of media, because we have a lot of media houses, and you know, and then civil society bank for tamit lan nga foog ne loolu la gaay mën a def pour mën a make sure ne ñun tam, because fii tamit civil society bi actually they shape a lot of policies fii parce que ñun we are part of one of the civil society nga xam ne dañ dee su budget bi génnee dañoo toog discuss ko set bana disadvantage, then we will call a meeting, ñëpp ñëw talk, we go through it, and then we go to parliament to present it, because you have that room su budget bi génnee pour nga mun a laajte space in parliament where you will go present seen alternative ba pare present why soo leen wàññee lii lan la mean si those sector, lan la mean si xale yi, lan la mean si poverty, because like now there's a lot of discussion about poverty and how Europe is going to work poverty. In December 11 to 12 there is a meeting in 10 to 12 in Brussels where you want to discuss poverty in Europe. How do we work around that? So let's go for civil society, because civil society, they are so strong and they change a lot of things. And there is this public meeting being there all the time. Last year, being a budget be lots of cut in different councils. Now, ñun suñ council be dafa ote what they call public meeting in Norway. Public meeting, we all town hall building there, and of their first step. People sit there and talk about. Then the mayor explain lanata what is happening. Lila budget be lila say ñun tamit li lañ fogg ne li lañu cut because amuñ lu doy. Nit ñi tamit ñoo wax seen board, then there is petitioning and all these things. Yeah. So lan nga foog parce que man duma dee gis su passé yow and then Edward Francis Small with Madi, duma dee gis much engagement in the budget in that.
Yeah, loolu moom dëgg la Gambian si fulalun budget bi because understand te ñoom si ñoom yëfi nguur la loolu bokk na si suñ problème but ñun as civil society mënuma wax ne dem na comme noo ko way yen for example, all right, but come na some way along those lines boo doon highlighted in our outline. So Center for Budget and Macroeconomic Transparency. And normally, the role of Gambia participates, they usually lead. Yeah, so but Center for Budget and Macroeconomic Transparency, or citizens budget. So let them unfollow them. They are relatively new, but they are doing a lot of tremendous work. Together with them, I'm then one a 2-day. One talk you get to budget be together with the Ministry of Finance and civil society. So you draft soon position paper. Soon position paper, 13 of those civil society members, you find sign them. So you present to Honorable Alaji S. Dab. So definitely a video report about this. And the position paper, I believe, is public. It should be available to anybody. So, you're not feeling they deviate again. The responsiveness. All right. To be fair, Dabo did respond to us. He listened to us, took us in a meeting, and we spoke for a while. Although perhaps we were short of time but he really tried to give us time. Okay. So, but and that's myself, Center for Budget Macroeconomic Transparency. About 4 of us were there representing the organizations. Now, but this is where we deviate after this. Responsiveness. What next? There's no feedback basically. Usually you just see what they decide to do. Okay?
Feedback from the government after Solin submitted, or is it feedback?
Yeah, feedback, yes. There's no feedback after that. And then you can see that obviously what we have recommended can hardly say, even perhaps maybe I say that do we even track it to see how much has been implemented, but largely most of it is not implemented. All right. That's the fact. So, and that's what we mean by there's not much feedback. So that is where we deviate. Okay. So where, for example, your mayor would come and then discuss with you what happened, what they ended up doing. That does not happen. So, but we do engage to the levels that I have explained as civil society. And mostly the media, they don't see themselves as civil society. You see, I'm one of the few people who see civil society and media as, part of the same, they, share a very, very important space which they need to work together. And civil society and the media doesn't have to necessarily, just play a role which is outside itself, but look at issues which affect the media, especially when it comes to the budget. But that I don't think is being done. So, I mean, there are many, many areas of improvement. Some of us are trying our best. And perhaps there's definitely more areas that could be done by civil society.
Yeah, sorry, Mustafa. Yeah.
Yes, great stuff, Mr. Taylor. Good analysis, good observation, good clarification. Why my concern with the budget be Bena wanga chifana yubari. I was taking notes down. 22%, 1.13.59 for education, 7.2 health, basic and idemenono, interior 5.4 idemenono. Why? Man, my concern here is my ordinary Gambian. Hamga affair bi ninko wahe, affair si ninko sedoe is mainly about this so-called elite. Inga hamne, they're there for themselves. Why ordinary Gambian bo hamne mungi gunjur o base o kudang o ñinga hamne dunde lacce lu bari ñom luñ lacce moy lu tuti rek lañ dé lacce, the rest of it the manpower they do it themselves. Manam légui luñ buga moy ñun bo xol lañ buga. It fogolone this country is fraud. Why the budget is so politicized, it's even fraud. because there's, if you look at it holistically, because little Manopi, and then I was listening, Dama Lee, this budget, what is it all about? Is it about them or about Gambia? Because Manuma could you say, increase in salary, Mr. X, increase in Nyale, and this money is here. And then they allocate their allocation become, it looks like allocation is even fake and dodgy. So there is nothing for ordinary Gambian bohamne, nyom ndimbal bu tuti rek len soxla. So soxole affaire bitam, there is nothing to say there is a future for ordinary Gambian. Because Lenala, you're so ligay, you are working. So they will retire. There is somebody bohamne for social security pension is available waiting for you there. Why ordinary Gambian bohamne mom na ko la de dem gardening la de def koku su demé be market, there's no plus bohamne feel like there's more pension feel like, so there's nothing planned for ordinary Gambians in the whole thing. I want to understand how my way, because it's like man mangi ligay in the garden, so man suma demé be just suma retirement pension age man fan lay def suma pension because suma contribution, there's nowhere bohamne in the country they could be yep for handing on man feel like there's small contributions because if small market the Gambia living be pension living be new dimbalema poorly. So there's nothing for ordinary Gambian. Everything is about them the elites. So man, I don't know, what are your thoughts on this, or is there any? Please today, Hauma, talk to me, talk me through this, Mr. Taylor. Please help me out.
Yes, just to give some basics, pensions and gratuities, 722 million len wara am pensions and gratuities. But for example, in the budget, it's there. So pensions and gratuities. But so you see, how many
ordinary Gambian,
yeah, so that's what they have in the pensions and gratuities. But I just wanted to give some example because I'm not solo. Let's look at even the victims. All right. So Gisnene victims, that is the reparations commission, then let allocate on 30 million for this year because they started their work this year. All right. But 30 million, but 20 million more them support to victims. Until today, the Minister for Justice, he did come and he said that they put 17.5 million into the reparations commission. All right. The reparations commission, mind you, them for their upkeep is 10 million, which is 5 million for personal emoluments and 5 million for subvention. All right, operating costs. Sorry. Okay, but until now, the victims have not received their money.
Okay, Yusuf Balangade, before you go, Lulu, the rest of the money, why is it left unexplained? The rest of the money, why is it? And how do we go about this to know, this explanation is clean and clear, crystal clear, Mr. Taylor?
Yes. So basically, the government has set out a plan at the beginning of the year to say that we will put 20 million to victims' support, all right? But up until not too long ago, because of one of the things which I do is I do work with National Assembly members. And they have parliamentary questions. And I encourage citizens to send parliamentary questions to National Assembly members. So through my question, the minister was summoned in parliament because they run away from us as journalists. But I know where we will catch you. We send it to the members and the member did the right thing. Fired the question to the Minister of Justice. And they said now, okay, this is what we planned at the beginning of the year. But what we have actually done is 17.5 billion is what we have sent to the reparations commission for them to give to the victims.
Okay.
This is what has actually happened. So that ñoo xam ne ñu ngi dégg xam naa ma wax ko si olof comme lu ma wax mooy ne government bi dafa waxoon ne 20 million la moo jox victims this year te loolu xam nga léegi la ñoo nekk di waxtaan budget bi pour next year. So time bi nii last year government bi dafa d'accord ne 20 million la moo jox victims this year 2025 bi waaye lu mu mujjee gis mooy ne justice minister bi ñëw na di tontu si parliament question boobu noonu te lu mu tontu mooy ne 17.5 leen fa dugalangum even though ñoom xam ne 20 leen fa war a dugal Why 20 million bobu nonu ben tay agangut ci victims? Because reparations commission ñoom itam ñu ngi jël seen time ñu ngi xool fii ñu ngi binda regulation ñu ngi def lile te loo xamee ne man suma maas yi kontaanun si victimes yi kontaanun si xaw ma lan la ñoo jël di waste more time pour ñu fay victimes yi waaw.
Okay, Mr. Tello, my concern here is mainly ordinary Gambians. What is it there for ordinary Gambians? Because affairs is going to get politicized. The budget, if they want to politicize it, then that means these people are killers. Because Soko Hole, if there is nothing for me in Fonyi, Sintet, Gunjur, Basse, or what, if it's nothing for people who don't know, who deserve assistance, who need assistance, who want help, if there is nothing for them, this is what I want to know. Please, so we will pass this message on, and then we'll make a story out of this to say, all this government is there for you to, if you want to get rich quick, get involved in the government activities or be a National Assembly member, but don't be a nationalist. To love your country, to work for your country. People go to government positions to earn money to work, live a life, but not to develop the country. This is how I see it. Because what is there for ordinary Gambian, Yusuf?
We are just really scraping the barrel, to be honest. I mean, yes. Generally, so when I see here, I'm scratching and looking everywhere. So we see, obviously, from what I already told you, pensions and gratuities. I already told you that, and some of the other
something
things
that you work for already. So ordinary Gambians, there's nothing for them. Horticulture or women garden, women development, women empowerment. There's nothing.
Yes. I think I mentioned some of those women empowerment, women enterprise fund, and those kind of things, which I mentioned was 10 million, and then some of the youth aspects and those kind of things. I think I mentioned some of those earlier. All right. I think I said 10 million. And then this year, I know for sure they have 16.6 million. Right. They actually spent, I think I mentioned that, the Women Enterprise Fund. Okay. But it's not that much. They spent 10 million. Yes, I'm here on it. 10 million last year. This year, they were approved 15 million to spend. And next year, they are targeting 16.6 million. So that's there for the Women Enterprise Fund. And I think I explained it's for the CAFOs. It's mostly, I remember that act very well because I was involved in it, in following it. So women should come together, have like a group, and then they access it and then they use it for their business. So, but like I said, it's already politicized. I know that for sure because of the money is not returning, right? And then the youth, and there's a youth, NEDI is there. Youth and Women Enterprise Fund. Okay, that one also, they are proposing 10 million next year, right? But they were approved, they actually spent 7.7 million on it in 2024. Okay? Yes. So this is what is there. This is definitely what I can tell you for sure.
So there's nothing much for ordinary Gambians. Okay. And then your thoughts on this. Aziz, your thoughts on this. Because I'm so interested in this, because if they want to use this as a political tool to make Gambians feel, new Gambian you feel, they're doing them a favor. We select from NPP lañ or ñi nga xamne ñoy support NPP or government ruling ñi day support ñi nga xamne amuñ doole nak ñi nga xamne support lolu. They're just interested in to improve their living standard. I don't know. Your thoughts on this, ordinary Gambia.
Yeah, man, suma deglo Yusuf Taylor Flex Dan is troubling dal. Dafa daw yaram dal ne budget bi linko oye development budget bi daf ñu dafa wara dolel juddu de kay dafa wara dolel nit yi dafa wara change nit yi sen life waaye dafa melni nekku di def lolu because areas yi wara change life ñu ngi gis ne xaalis bi nekku du dem area bobu nonu because gëna wal xaalis bi mu ngi dem ci recurrent expenditure moy yi ñoo wax ne salary allowances ak all this bureaucracy yi ni fofu la xaalis bi nekk di dem suñu deglo Flex Dan. So which means ne ñun doora guñ development liggéey sax parce que dañ dégg président say nekk su démé ci toyam yi o mu génn di def relais mi mu ngi wax mu ngi def développement maa ngi sampan tali yi maa ngi def développement and nit ñi door di wax waa sampana tali sampana di waaye gisuñ loolu si dundu nit yi gisuñ loolu si lifestyle yi Gambian bi gisuñ loolu si dapaas yi gisuñ loolu si school fees yi gisuñ loolu si lampa yi ñoo fay nawek gisuñ loolu si kër yi ñoo war a dëkka sa rent yi gisuñ loolu yëpp si lii so loolu ñoo wone den xaalis bi even recurring expenditures yi ñoo wax sa salary allowance si benn boor la day demee tamit because suñ toogee parliamentarians yi ñu war a defar luwaay MP war a defar luwaay di increase seen salary ordinary Gambian bi because ordinary Gambian ngee sofa ñu ngee sofa liggéey amut ba pare xaalis bi doyut biñ leen a fay so ba léegi gisuñ government muy make effort si loolu because luñ gis ñun fu mu nekk nii mooy ne administration bi mu ngee egg waaye trickle down si nit yi benn side la nekk benn groupe mooy government bi ak MPC léegi affaire si foofu la nekk because before dañ daa wax government bi rek waaye léegi ñu ne government bi ak MPC fa lañ gis fa la xaalis si nekk ba pare léegi tamit ñu ngi gis ne nguur gi tamit xaalis bi fi moo dem mooy fu nguur gi politically comfortable foo xam ne daal moom politically comfortable na xaalis yi because ñu ngi xool revolving fund yi pour jigéen ñi ba léegi ñu ngi gis jigéen ñi si naako yi si gaadi yi ñëpp a ngi complain basic thing ñun sax ñu ngi am revolving fund CRR te da ngay seene ñoo abal jigéen ñi simple as $5,000 dañ ko ñoo leb ko pour ku leen a ñoo dimbale si seen rice production ku leen a defar harvest rek dimbale leen si yooyu revolving fund boobu lañ am ñu ngi ko am for 3 years now and then people su ñëwee dañ ko leb ay 5,000 ay 10,000 you ask yourself how can naka la loolu mun a amee biir Gambie ne mun jigéen ñi mun am fu ñoo lebee 10,000 or 5,000 or 15,000 just pour finish seen béy maalo bi nga xam ne dañ ko soxla ba pare mun a dem jaay delloowaat xaalis bi so ñu ngi gis yi nii yëpp and these things and then suñ xoolee bill bi and Felix Dan narration bi affaire si leadership bi chunk of suñ xaalis mu ngi dem si leadership bi chunk of xaalis yi mu ngi faa dem so that is serious tamit lu serious la ba pare subsidy si ñoo joxe yoo xam ne daa soo amuñ benn njëriñ unproductive amul benn njëriñ mënut laa creatal anything ba pare bi si gën a garaaw the elephant in the house suñ bor bi ñu ngee leb di leb ñun ñu ngee leb waaye ñu xamuñ fa la xaalis boobu di jógee ñu ngee leb ba pare ñu ngee fay more interest fooy bor bi ak yooyu ñu ngee leb ba pare ñu ngee gën a ñàkka ñu ngee leb ba pare suñ xale yaa ngee gën a dem backway bi di dee si biti mel ni nguur gi moom yoonam nekku si parce que musuma gis fu government bi dooree ngeen correct ma fu mu defee press conference about this backway musuma koo dégg man si su bara ñëw ba léegi musuma koo gis press conference on the backway ñëw even the minister of youth musuma gis ñu ñëw oote press conference look we are in a national crisis naka la ñoo soofee lii o plan bi lañ am gisuma ko sax fa mel ni seen yoon nekku si na xale yi dem dee ndax ñu wàññeeku parce que man noonu laa ko gisee nañ dem suñ deeyee nit ñi gën a wàññeeku ñun ñu gën a mun a toog enjoy man noonu laa ko dee interpréter because gisuma benn dëkka boo xam ne di nga toog di seetaan crisis bu mel nii sa nguur gi nit ñi jóguñ sax rise up o sa nguur gi daanu moo tax dama dee wax ne 2026 Barrow dafa war a génn because lu munta def within this 10 years munatu koo def because demut ñu ngee dugga si more crisis gis nañ suñ bor yi dafa double within 9 years yow nga double ñi fi nekkoon foo soo times soo addee 22 plus 30 ñooñu luñ fi def yow danga ko double so loolu fa la ko nit mun a explain so situation bi dafa lu fi ba pare man I think ne Flex lu moo def is very important and Gambian bu nekk war ngaa toppa budget bi Gambian bu nekk war ngaa follow budget bi Gambian bu nekk war ngaa try understand ko ba pare ñu ko gën a continuer media yi ak social comme Felix nu mu ko defee gi gën a faram-fàcceel nit ñi mun koo understand because budget bi moo ñoo wax ban façon nguur lañ am because soo xoolee budget bi fu mu nekk nii nguur gi waruta 2026 waruta taxaw fii sax because munuta yóbbu dëkk bi because ak Gambien si xam nga soo waxee su wesi commenté tubaab bi comment fii comment fële ñu naan bu ñu tubaab nañu tubaab bi dimbale nañu lifi nii waaye ñooñu ñoom lay yaakaar budget bi loolu yëpp la because grant bi yëpp si ñoom laa jógee pour ñu mun a survive so man dama foog ne daal xaalis bi daal nañ ko xoolaat bu baax nañ xoolaat nguur bi bu baax MPC man dama disappoint trop soo waxee dañ dee ñoom tam dañ dee tontu léegi ñu ne danga añaan o lan lañ foog nit ñi dañ leen dee toppa ma ne ma jox la liggéey di la fay ba pare añaan si yow foo mu sa déggee loolu mënta am because dégg bi ko nit yi jaar wax ko because MP yi mënuñ ta nekk li ñoo am góoma ne am na kenn ku ko aan su passé ministre si yeeg executive yooyu xanaa private sector bi waaye ordinary Gambian MPC they are the highest honor. Felix, am I wrong for that to assume that?
So holy after president, okay. After president become
maybe private sector.
Speak up. Well, just to put things into a little bit of perspective, because of look at youth and sports, 146 million rec len spend, len you plan to spend on youth and sports. So policy budget. So how much we are spending on vehicles, right? Just even on vehicles, purchase of fuel and lubricants, this 2026, you get plan to spend 428 million. Imagine that. Wow. In 2024, we spent $330 million on fuel, purchase of fuel and lubricants. Pour maintain motor in 2024, because more actuals, then spend over $87,000. Now, Sumanya we see motor Nyata spend in 2024 because Mungana remember the OICB that new a big wage bill. Sunyo CFE vehicles.
Yes.
In 2024, 699 million land spent. See, just vehicles. Lulu yep, so holy. No bole lulu yep. Romba na $1 billion. $1 billion. Ramade, Romana Lulu. The Lulu expensive vehicles like Wahuma motorcycles. There are some other vehicles. Emergency vehicles nung for why Lulu mom dunko de fulal. Motorcycle ak motorbikes hanga Lulu mom ba dole ñoko drive. Ñu nekk ci Ministry of Health wala Education wala Agriculture. Ba dole ñom ñoko am. Wala messengers yi ak ñeneen. So Lulu mom tamit soko xolé di nga gis ne they are not even sun emergency vehicles. Yo xamné ambulance ci fofu la joggé. All right? Ba pare tamit police officer fu mo amé motorcycle fofu am moto. Yooyu noonu yëpp fulaluñ ko boobu sax soo leen bëggee mun naa leen a jox just $2.2 million leen actually spend in 2024 si motorbikes and bicycles ba ma jox la lan leen spend si emergency vehicles loolu tamit na la woon firefighting ambulances and rescue vehicles 3.7 million rek leen spend. Meanwhile we spent $699 million on vehicles that year. Right? So, if you tabulate all these things, no matter what, see vehicles wreck. In 2024, my calculations show that we broke the 1 billion barrier with incredible force. In 2023, we were spending in all those things $645 million. Just imagine, that's what we spent in 2023. It jumped from $645 million to $1.1 billion, breaking the ceiling, the 1 billion mark, shattering it. This is what we are prioritizing. Vehicles, fuel, lubricants, the OIC vehicles, we'll be paying them for years to come.
This is serious because suñ ko xoolee I mean ñun ñu ngi lepp ñu ngi depend si doono si mel ni ñu ngi depend si tubaab bi ba léegi ñun suñ amuñ any space boo xam ne nit dina war a mun a invest léegi recurring expenditures yi mooy ay salary ay travel yu kenn xamul yooyu moto yi yooyu ngee grow more than suñ income looloo gën a moo dee gën a yokku more than ñun lu ñoo am.
The little concern buma am fi nde moy okay, Junior, I'll come to your comment. Moy, it's like in the UK, you nekanga fee, Europe, and then in the Yusuf, you've been here. The Farmers Association am nañ doole. Xam nga lu tax ñooñu ñu am doole mooy koo xam ne moo téye sa biir bi, your stomach. Ku téye sa biir bi danga ko war a respect because moom moo dee isi food security, stability, ay demee noonu. So ñooñu ñu lañ war a empower in the Gambia ñi nga xam ne dañoo grow vegetable maalo li nga xam ne we can produce them locally in the Gambia. Sustainability bi foofu la war a commencer ñooñu lañ war a empower waaye di jënda moto bu seer fuel consumption of that vehicle, maintenance of that vehicle. These people are there for themselves. They're not there for the ordinary Gambians. My concern here is how flex your linga wahni is very, very important. Why ordinary Gambian nyoko waraham, nyoko wara understand they use this tool. If they are educated about this will empower them to know, hey, listen, these people, they're spending 100 million on their budget to increase their wage. But me, my garden, I just need 10,000 for us to build a borehole. Because I was in the Gambia not long ago. Because in the Gambia, I go to these people, but Madam Banyulunding, and then you see, the concern they gave me was only we need borehole reclaim chohla, and then we'll produce this. They have only one. They're depending on. How can that be right? And then these people, who said, Romba, that Banyulunding garden, Bohamne, they're struggling with those, I don't get it. I don't know how much what is going on. Aziz, Mandal, I'm not happy about this whole thing, to be very honest with you, because the way things are going is like these people are taking us for granted. I don't know if it's fraud or fake or deliberate. I don't know. Aziz, your thoughts on this, let me come to Junior. Junior is insisting that I need to make him be part of this comment box here. I'll read your comment, which is very important. He said, hopefully, the file you are having there, Yusuf, it can be accessed here. Okay, I'll ask Yusuf to share that file with me, and then I'll flag it up here, inshallah. Thank you. He said, well, all these self-enrichment should be put into consideration in the next constitutional drafting, whereby when the local people are not satisfied with the MPs, then can be removed in the clear process. Well, that you can do that. I think there's a figure or number for that to call your MP in, and then let him go. The next constitutional drafting will determine Gambia's next 50 years. That is correct. Mustafa, we need to hear our own voices reading our comment. I love this program. Okay, you love the program. Pass the message on. These are there to Aziz. Aziz, Mandal, I don't even know where to start with this. I don't know if this is fraud or this is criminology or this is the politicizing the budget as a political tool. Aziz, your thoughts on this? This is not acceptable. Yeah, you're on mute, Aziz. You're on mute. Yangi mute.
Sorry, I was in and out. Don't give me man, if we finance and budgeting, understand Wakuwa because figures they confused. Why the man baseline of what to understand and how I can kind of define it. Yusuf they explain all these things. The farm Linjekanyu Chiman, the salary of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and then the
Deputy Speaker,
which is almost about maybe 250,000 or something like that. As far as I'm concerned, pour man loolu tuuti na trop soo seetee dundi ni Gambien léegi the question that comes to me mooy lu tax nit war a bàyyi liggéeyam fii dem di liggéey Gambie under this salary ak naka la ci nit mun a dundee ba mun a sampa ay taax xam nga loolu mooy di question bi ñu war a laaj because pour nga sampa taax probably minimum especially suñ politicians yi si kër yi ñu dëkk pour nga mun leen a sampa tey minimum 6 million si li ma yaakaar te ëpp na loolu te ci li Yusuf Taylor explain fii dina jël yenn top ranking officials about almost 6 years pour nga mun a am jëgi benn taax te loolu dafay fekk dootoo lekka doo naan doo saraxe doo génne asaka doo def dara dañ lay fay rek nga jël denc loolu so naka lañ mun a amee why is the other part of the money biñ am te saa yuñ defee audit du ñu gis xaalis bu ñu randal for instance doo dégg audit ne the speaker of the National Assembly dafa randal xaalis waaye still mu ngi mun a def yoo xam ne they are beyond their salary li ma fi bugg a wax mooy in summary it is too costly to run a government li tax mooy ñi ci nekk seen boppa la ñoo liggéeyal te ana fan la ñoo amee xaalis ndey am na fu mu ci junju xaw ma ndax Taylor explain na foofu clearly mooy foreign travels ak leneen li mooy running a government efficiently ndax boo seetee most of the allocations suñ def nañ jël say for instance agriculture soo seetee allocations yooyu nga dem deep into naka lañ ko allocate mu ngi mel ni nga ne lii laa ko seeda waaye li ma ko seeda 50% of it dafay dem ci ki ko koy yóbbu xam nga gis ngeen li may wax waaw 50% of linde yi moom ki ko koy yóbbu moo koy lekk te nga ne yow 100% nga ko kii so of the probably 1.5 billion buñ allocatal say agricultural sector boo ci demee deep most of it will go into jënd ay moto xam nga workshops extension workers and other transportation costs at the end of the day lii dem directly ci kiñ ko yéene is far less than la mu waroon a am kon duñ ci am impact si jamono joo xam ne tey technology waroon nañoo mun a may ñu mun a jokkalante fekka easily without ñuy jënda some of those things wala di move the presidents meet the people's talk si jamono ji president mun naa interface with any community without necessarily having to incur such a huge depense kon boo demee ba seet in reality li government benn campagne la rek boo xam ne dañu woote ngénte ñu ne lii lañ soxla pour ngénte bi waaye bi ñu wootee ba pare ne yow lii lañ lay jox kii lii lañ lay jox waaye ñi nga xam ne ñooy tooga wala ñooy tooga si ngénte bi ak ñi ko organise ñoom ñoo see gën a feyeeku waaye because the way niñ orienté suñuy nit dem nañ ba ñoom saa yi ñu leen séddalee rek ñoom duñ xool ñaata lañ waroon a am ñoom liñ leen jox right now moom lañ compté moom la ñoo ne kii mu ngay def liggéey bu duut loolu tey su président ñëwee ne leen dama leen indil fertilizer wala dama leen ubbil lopitaan soo amee ku conscious li ñu war a laaj président mooy at mii ñaata ngeen allocé toon pour dund bi wala pour health sector bi ñun lopitaan bi ñaata lañ ci waroon a am waaye ñoom duñ koy seet lan la ñoo seet tali bu ñu liggéeyal ñun yàgg nañu amuñu tali so because am nañ tali it's okay amuñu itam benn survey from independent probably body buy seet government development si ak naka la loolu transformé to dundi nit ñi parce que tali yaa ngi gën a yaatu xiif baa ngi gën a bëri lii mooy xew parce que li tax mooy saa yoo leen lebee il faut ngeen fay te saa yoo leen di fay interest bi ni mu bëree loolu ngeen ñu dee charge in tax so dinañ dem ba toolu ji foo xam ne we should be able to have a national conversation bi wax ne nga dëgga tali lañ soxla tey wala suñ daily dundi tali bi is supposed to kind of transform our livelihood our quality of life waaye ndax loolu ñu ngi ko cee gis li tax lii gën a métti mooy mënuñoo am a communication strategy boo xam ne dinañ ko mun a communicate to the ordinary person ba mu dem ba realize loolu ba realize ne come to Mustapha's point man ñi nga xam ne damay bay man maa ngi contribute into the government parce que damay fay lempo su ma jaayee government dañ ci am tax te man tax boobu may fay government kéetaluñ ma anything loo xam ne su ma demoon tey ba retire
Yes, precisely.
su ma demoon tey ba retire mënatuma béy
Nothing for you.
ma am lu ma ci feye ko waaye ki nga xam ne man moom lay fay suma tax
Yes.
muy public
There's
service
something for that person. Yes.
moom daf cee gën a fayeeku waaye bu demee ba retire dinañ ko ci am luñ ko yëkkal
Precisely.
waaye man mii fay ba tey man suma retire I am done
It's fraud, man. This is fraud.
so li ma bëgg a wax fii mooy ñun suñ budget dafa war a reflect suñ social justice address suñ social needs and not just xam nga a few waaye mu mun a reflect loolu citizen bi have to be aware enough enlightened enough to be able to ask those right questions mu bañ a doon loo xam ne lii xeexi Yusuf kese la parce que politicians yi dañoo manipulate those citizens di leen ne bu leen déglu ñoom Yusuf
waaw
ko undermine dëkk bi te fekk it's not true but the level of awareness moo fa eegul Sénégal fi mu ne tollu nañ foofu ñoom at least di nga gis even the last person ci àll bi bu ko xajmaatee he has to call the government and say government you need to do something about the dogs ñun amuñu loolu suñ système am na benn terme bu ndey day yu saw ma ndax forced poverty la wala forced hunger waaye dañ lay
state sanctioned poverty
waaw dañ lay xiifloo bu da nga xiif dañ ñu ñëw di la jox pittance naan la soo ma tàcculut doo am
billahi loolu moo am
so what is it that we can do differently to enlighten these people won leen ne ku yaakaar ne comme yow da ngay bay gerte yow contribute loo ci loolu yaa ngi contribute waaw
Aziz for now sorry no because Aziz li nga wax is very important because fuñ jaar rek am conversation bi parce que man ma dee follow Yusuf Taylor daf dee not even this time before sax daf daa dem parliamentary reporting follow budget yi di ko analyse di qualify suñ amul conversation ci nit ñi duñ mun a eewu because conversation bi moo dee ee nit ñi ñu mun a understand ne maa ngi toog di dégg naa Yusufa ngay explain lii la ndekete affaire si nii la conversation boobu la politician yi après government bi dee bañ because suñu xoolee even meet the people store président bi sax léegi daf ko change léegi daf ko def taasukaay because attaque bully parce que loolu la ko def léegi romba na sax time moo daf daan dem sax ne naa leen sa batali naa seen lopitaan but this time we see ne affaire si daf ko def a bullying and attack so conversation yu ko am ba pare li ma dee wax mooy la okay generally also soo xoolee ñun suñ conversation si a lot of the time very few ñoo dee ñëw have this conversation dissect ko but generally defante la or ñu ngi laa label this label la dala because Felix ko waxit na Felix doy la bu ko déglu or Aziz ko Aziz UDP la bu ko déglu so this is why this conversation gets so difficult because state dafa xam naka la manipulate and control the minds of the people and loolu lañ mun a dissect ba pare civil society bi tamit have to be very strong because foo gis tamit nit ñi eew rek there is a strong civil society boobu daf dee nekk hand in hand mënut a separate and then the media also become very independent. These are the situations te ñun ba léegi ñu ngi raam si boor boobu we have very few civil societies ñoo xam ne dañ ko jël seen liggéey comme like di explain this thing we have very few media just like Flex to sit down and explain these things like what we are doing here also every Saturday pour talk analyze things assess and then people ask their question and then we move on conversations yooyu lañ war a am léegi not conversation ne breaking news Barrow li la wax kii Barrow li la wax we should be able to have this conversation because ñu nañ laaj suñu boppa because Aziz bi nga wax ni sax it makes me reflect nañ laaj suñu boppa ñun ñu ngi consume rice man fu naa China sax gënu ñoo mën a consume rice ñun dañoo consume rice ba pare rice mooy suñ lekka ñun suñ lekka la waaye mun ba léegi ñu ngi koo consume ñun mënuñ koo process sax si biir dëkk bi ñun mënuñ koo package sax si biir dëkk bi let nobody tell me package yu ndaw yi ñoo gis at an industrial level ñun mënuñ ta build factory pour rice bi mënuñ ko jaxal pachara nga ne le taxaw di ñu xool ñun mënuñ ta even create liggéey si maalo boobu noonu bu ñoo lekk so think about xoolal loolu noonu because ñun suñ toogee ba nga xam ne maalo bi rek industrie yu ndaw rek laa mën a wax pharmacie dinañ mën a am seen income yoo am mën a toppatoo seen boppa lekka bi dinañ mën a xam lu ñoo lekka ñun sax léegi duñ dee xam yan maalo la ñoo lekka parce que léegi la nga dégg ñu ne import maalo mu am dara si biiram kata kenn xamul ban façon maalo la ñoo lekka nit ñaa ngee dee kenn xamul lu leen a rey because xamuñ lu ñoo consume si dëkk bi am soo waxee nit ñi la wax ne waaw seen waxtoo jot seen wax no it's not that the number of people dying in Gambia is just it's abnormal te kenn parewut a seet loolu because li ñoo consume kenn xamu ko because ñun ñëpp dafa ñëw léegi kenn xamatut lan ngaa lekk si dëkk bi dangaa dem holiday nga lekk jënda fale benn afro lekk ko nga feebar ba nga ñib si you don't even know what is happening xamuloo lan la sax dangaa dem ba bleed nga egsi fi ñu ne la infection you don't even know what is it so this conversation daal fu njaar di ko am ba pare duñ si soona because
ndey may ma laaj Yusuf given li ma explain nii ak li ndey explain what is the best strategy to go around this because budget bi to be quite honest reflected the social needs addressed the social needs of the people and
definitely
lu ndaw li nga xam ne sax dañ koy jël for social services yooyu sax dañ koy politicize comme li nga wax you have to even for women group they are selective in what women groups they want to work with how ban medium la ñoo mun a use pour vehicle this conversation and raise awareness about what is in it for us so that anytime you am a budget session citizens might stand up to ask pertinent questions that address their needs or to demand government address their needs. What do you think?
Yes, loolu la te am na solo torop ndik nekk na liggéey boo xam ne I hope maa ngi audible because dama dugaloon mic just pour mun leen a dégg bu baax so I hope Yeah, fine. So because of gis nga ne ñun sun budget bi then some fundamental problems ci budget bi mooy ne debt then addicted to debt te debt boobu noonu fu mu nekk nii then amoon lu ñoo debt relief at one point te ministre bi mu ngi ko doon explain waaye debt relief boobu noonu jeex na and loolu mu ngi catch up si ñu catch up fast because of mu nga xam ne ñun suñ dalasi bi ak dollar bi bu ndee awee xaalis xam nga ne dalasi bi mu ngi always go down dollar baa ngi egg so waaye bor boobu noonu xaalis boobu noonu boo ko jëloon time boobu noonu ba pati nga ko wala def nga loo war a def ak moom su dee def nga ko xaalis boobu noonu value boobu noonu benn tey same value la si dollar waaye mu ngi yokka si dalasi so ñun one of sun main problem moo nekka den war a xool naka la ñoo yokku lu ñoo def lu ñoo non tax revenue ñu bàyyi yëfi loans yaa ngi gis ñu bàyyi yëfi bor booba suñ bor buñ nekk di jël dañ mun nañ koo stop suñ defee loolu noonu comme ñu create yenn avenues yoo xam ne government mun naa am revenue because of lu bari suñ problème si budget bi mooy dañ ko dee xoolee ne budget expenditure rek la waaye soo toppatoo fan la xaalis bi di ñëw di nga mun a am xaalis bu bari te loolu dafa niir pour government bi mu xeex corruption by force for example mineral royalties yun dee am fii nii according to soo xoolee budget bi lu mu wax for example di nga gis ne munuta nekka sun royalties yi lu gaay di report moo nekk den war a fata yooyu noonu pour xaalis bi mun a ñëw xam nga xaalis bi su di nekk xaalis baa ngee ñëw te yéen ko binda si record books bi xaalis bi mu ngee ñëw nu mu war a ñëw for example royalties bi is just one area fu ma laal yaa maa gis waaye den war a def cuts project suma brother bi Aziz yaa ngi doon wax affaire agriculture and all these different dang dee dox si biir dëkk bi di nga gis number plate of the soo buggee xam project bu nekk di latest project si dëkk bi taxawal because suma taxawee National Assembly di xaar moto si laa dee gis gaay yi ñu ngi romba seen number plate di nga gis Giraffe di nga gis Roots moto yu seer moo tax xaalis boobu noonu buñ war a jox project boobu di nga gis ne du dox naka la moo doxee xaalis bi yëpp yéen ko dugal si moto yu seer dugal ko si fuel ak lu nekk lu seer so lii dafa nekk some serious austerity cuts yoo xam ne dafa necessary den war a stop si su doon man government bi dafa war a try mu jaay moto yi yëpp ñu bari moto yi as many cars especially OIC vehicles yooyu noonu ñu cut sun losses booba duñ continuer di fay crazy amounts ok so da nga gis ne loolu daf ñoo jox breathing space pour ñu mun a invest si yeneen areas yoo xam ne dafa nekk of huge importance budget bi pour fix ko so that ñu mun a help nit yi am na liggéey bu bari buñ war a def because suñ amee breathing space boobu noonu bu ma nekk di wax suñ munee create ñu fata pax yi fan la xaalis yi di dem Gambia la ñoo suuf ñu ngi jaay suuf every time ba ma wax leen lan laa gis si ñu ne royalties quarrying royalties gravel and sand maa ngi gis fii nii E0 2024 E0 laa nekk di gis su ma ñëwee si another section revenue I've seen 3.176 million war naa romba loolu by all means su gaay di def seen liggéey yaa ngi gis so loolu dina important so for example xoolal lan leen approve right under detailed revenue estimates by collecting agency for Ministry of Petroleum and Energy querying royalties for 2025 lan leen approve on just to give you guys an idea they approved that we would collect $73.5 million but in 2024 suma check bi yëpp check maa ngi check yëpp 3.176 rek laa mun a gis ne leen collecte xam nga ne loolu mu ngi laa woon ne am na loo xamee ne leerut dara leerut foofu te xam naa suma colleagues yoo xam ne journalist am nañ awards ci seen reporting because of them pick out some of these issues léegi suñ munee make sure ne ñu increase suñ non tax revenue booba nekku ne ñu ngi tax ba doole bi rek tax ko because of government bi loolu moo nekk suñ problème every time tax bi rek leen depend on te su nekkee di tax yaa ngay gën a yàq businesses ba pare yaa ngay make it more difficult xaalis boobu noonu suñ ko amoon léegi dinañ mun a dugal xaalis si fan si drugs whole Gambia 272 million rek leen spend on si drugs in 2024 ba pare luñ approve last year pour 2025 they approve 210 million rek this year government bi mu ngi recommend propose 254 te loolu is less than what we actually spent in 2024 population bi mu ngi grow
waaw waaye dafa am fu ma bugg a jump in rek dafa am fu ma bugg a jump in rek ma
duga si
bàyyi la kii la yaa ngi wax about royalties especially mining sector
yes
dama yaakaar ne civil society and investigative journalists yi war nañoo def liggéey to know ñan ñoo nekk si this exploration companies yooyu ñan a nekk behind them dama yaakaar ne there are top officials yoo xam ne dañ am shares in those companies su loolu amee the amount of the calculation of the royalties revenue bi nga xam ne is so owed to government might be watered down loolu important na torop pour ñu bàyyi ci xel
as is the republic does that but government faale wuñ leen they come with figures and everything
but I think suñ defee loolu
faale wuñ leen
loolu laa doon wax ma wax suma
some people are just fronting up parce que I think I knew or they're gonna at one time that this MP Bineka Brikama anaka this MPP breakaway faction the same leader Bineka on Brikama Keba Madi Bojang something like that also na de gane dañ hulo because dañ ko offer on xawma pour mu particular area for sand mining understand xëj na dañ ko xañ wala dañ ko offer I'm not too clear but li ma bëgg a wax fii mooy why would that happen to Keba Madi is because MPP so nañ seet ñiñ offer those sand mining license nañ seet ñi nga xam ne ñoom lañ offer even the companies like Gatch let's dig deep into who are the shareholders because some of these people they are just fronting for other bigger people the cement industry the same things because Pullman we are losing a lot of revenue through these practices. I cannot understand they mine sand for a complete year and the total revenue being for that is just like you're saying 3 million or something like that. It cannot. They are building houses that are maybe 12 to 15 million. It cannot.
Information is out there. The state is not interested. Information is out there. The state is not interested, and nobody's doing anything. The Republic have been reporting on this with figures. Even this other Momodou Senega Jame, she's also been following as somebody working hard work before with Google on this geology and thing. He also does all these things. Information is out there.
Yeah, so
government is not interested in doing anything. No, the parliament is not holding them accountable for that.
Government will not do anything. Why? What is the way Binyumuna def? Purmuna at least kind of attract public interest into these things, who you scrutinize properly. Because this is where we are being robbed. As long as the books remain like this and Auditor General can just pass them, I hope maybe Anti-Corruption Commission would look at the standard of living as a baseline.
I don't have hope in that part.
I hope, but what I'm saying,
that is the state still. The people who are there, they are former Jamel loyalists.
If you have a government like Anti-Corruption Commission, it's not only looking at the books are not balancing, no. Have to look at the standard of living for public officials against their earnings. And if there is a discrepancy, it's now on them to explain that discrepancy, or they will be found wanting. That's how it should work.
Thank you, Aziz. Thank you. On that note, let me just come to the comment box and then share some thoughts here. And then Yusuf will come to you. You share your thought with us on this very important program. Usman Jawara is saying, good day to you all. And thank you for your time to help educate about things that matter. Okay, Usman went on further to say, he said, we have the land and resources to grow rice for self-sufficiency, which is true. You know, we have the rice, we have the fertile land to grow the rice. And he said himself, he have started growing rice for commercial purpose. But his biggest challenge is it is very expensive and the government is just dancing around. Foreign money going into their projects for people must be managed by those people. So I want to start rice cultivation in Gwinju, so that is discouraging. He says also allow funding for key projects run by the people to access funds directly from such donors. Too many fact cuts out of the project money while poor farmers are struggling. The money doesn't even reach them. And he's saying there is no strong civil society in the country. The ones that are reactionary societies. I don't know if that's fair with Maddie and Flex, but yeah, it says royalties needs to be working on framework where monetary transactions remain transactional, not access to money. So, Yusuf, Mr. Taylor, you've been here for almost 2 hours. You know, what are your thoughts on this particular topic? You as Yusuf Gambian, not as analyst, not as journalist, but as a Gambian, your thought on the whole topic title about the budget. You as Yusuf Taylor, your thoughts. Share your thoughts, final thoughts with us. Sa xalaat si affaire budget bi. I'm not solo lol because bukan nañu xam yow as a Gambian, because man affaire bi numa ko dee gisee mooy let's see everything as ñun Gambian ñun suñ ko gisee noonu we will get somewhere. Why suñ ko gisee ne political party journalist man ñun Gambian as a Gambian, your thoughts, your sahalat.
I really feel that the budget dafa nekk loo xam ne right now si state bu mu nekk duñu yóbbu fuñ bugg a àgga sakatuma si development loolu moo nekk man suma biggest concern te budget bi si boppam soo ko xoolee mu ngi laa woon ne in fact man gëmuma budget bi lu tax ma ne gëmuma budget bi gëm naa ne some of the ñu ngi use government budget bi pour play game sax si nit yi lu ma min si loolu even revenues yi gars yi di project sakatuma si soo ñëwee si grants ak loans maa la wax ne duñ ko am because of koo xam ne maximum 7 billion rek la musa am nga ñëw nga wax ne yow 14 billion nga plan pour am xam nga ne loolu nekkuloo di ma wax loo xam ne soo ñëwee si side di grants so loo am anything more than 7 te yow mostly i 4 rek nga dee am so soo ma waxee ne di nga am 14 dina la xoolaat bu baax a baax mooy ne budget bi si man nekkul lu realistique te dafa nekk loo xam ne dañ dee inflate revenue bi pour lan ñu mun a wax ne nii la ñoo spend dafa nekk loo xam ne si man doy na waar te soo ko xoolee si biir budget bi man sax lu ma dee gën a gestu mooy zéro si fan la zéro yi am na yenn koo xam ne comme suñu waxee mining royalties of sand ak gravel ma gis fa zéro obviously suma maas yi door naa di wonda ndax lii ndax ñu ñoo wax lu ci nekk ndax ñu ñoo wax ndey mbi la waaw so just pour leeral am na some of the questions yu sa gars yi laajte for example information bi most of lu ma nekk di use is from the 2026 draft budget boobu man am naa ko mun naa ko share to you and then some of the other things yooyu noonu dama ko am pour xool over the last almost 10 years because dama am yenn budget most of them are on my computer but am na ñaar yoo xam ne they are hard copy te ñaar yooyu noonu gisuma electronic copy but depuis 2018 bu ma del si Gambia maa ngi doon collect budget si bi ma gis ne léegi ñu ngi ko mën a jox online electronic so loolu yëpp dama ko dee tabulate di check at yu nekk lan leen spend you know di check ndax loolu leen spend according to lum plan so loolu la and just pour ne leen thank you so much I'm so grateful to be amongst you guys it's been a marathon program but definitely for the right reasons and with you know amazing people like you Ndeye Aziz and Saul and everybody else that's tuning in.
Thank you. Jerejef, Aziz, your final thoughts. I think you're on mute, Aziz. You're on mute.
Just the thanks to guest Vitay for doing a great job. Di gërëm ñëpp ñi fi ne Ndeye Suleiman Badji, my brother, and everyone else. Yusufa ñu ngi lay encourage nga continuer ci liggéey bu baax bi nga ne su fekkee ne itam am nga time once in a while come over here ñu jéem a gën a waxtaan di la wax ne rek non lépp loo mun a def pour gën a yee askan comme ni nga binda askan wi mooy moo la ñor noo mun a def pour yee leen rek nañ leen ko def te askan wi is beyond just online wala si urban areas. A great number of population is outside in the rural areas. And so to deciding on governance, their input matters very much. Sometimes the miners are ñoo they determine kan lañu war a fal. Kon war nañ leen a gindi in a way boo xam ne they will make the rash choices and not just on sentiment. Thank you once more for having you here today.
jërëjëf su ma mënee am chance pour yokk si because of yëfi pharmacie tamit loo xam ne dafa important te gis nañ ne government ñu ngi wax ne pharmacie ñoom dañoo make sure ne for the first 3 months of this trade season noonu la ko gars yi ooy for the groundnuts ne ñoom dañ ko jox exclusivity to NFPSC tur bi gudal Food Security Processing Manufacturing etc whatever corporation so loolu loo xam ne baaxut because of yaa ngi edge out even private sector bi su dee ñoom kenn rek ñu am monopoly even private sector within Gambia sax war naa am challenge pour mu am access to ground so yaa ngi gis ne sun pharmacie seen liggéey bu métti 3 years ñu ngi keep the same price 38,000 ñun gëm nañ ne loolu moom fiaaw you know si pharmacie you see civil society tamit nag ñu ngi try you know because of di nga gis ne suma maas yi man mile 2 leen ma yóbbu because of ñu ngi try pour ñaxtu pour lan yëfi data bi data ñëpp la affect ñun ñoo jógoon wax ne dañoo protest pour yëfi nawet ak courant but you know loolu laa gëm naa ne there are civil society actors gis nga ñun man si diaspora bi leen nekk sometimes da ngaa nekk si diaspora bi xamuloo lu nekk di dox si biir dëkk bi you understand so looy def da ngaa jël sa time nga look out find out lan la yéen a Gambian fi def yan Gambian ñoo nekk di push Suma Masi and many others, over 23 young people, them be mile too because of standing soon ground. They soon pare taxaw for whatever reason be it. Dinañ ko defaat. Réccuwuñ ko. So, but that's what I will just end with. You know, we'll give ne eloquence or whatever. I mean, we get down and dirty tamit soon if we need to. You know, we take it out to the streets if we need to. We go to see National Assembly members, write you know, recommendations, not just on problems, recommendations, problems and recommendations. We come to the drawing table if they are serious. We do that. And we still go to the streets if we have to. So, I mean, but our government in Gambia, we should stop comparing it to Western government. These people, they are not responsive. I told, we did exactly what Nyom Day Neka did. I'm sent 2-day meeting. I'm sent document, present Nenko, but these people, they are not this is where we deviate. They will not respond. But this is what we are dealt with. The Nyun Tamit, we are determined to keep pushing until we have a better Gambia. So I really want to stand with the farmers. You know, government is actually going against free market policies. That's one. And secondly, going against the ECOWAS protocol for free trade across member states. Lulu, these are all existing established regulations and laws. So they should really allow the farmers to sell. To buy. To sell their groundnut to the highest bidders. Yes, including private buyers in the country and outside.
Thank you. And your thoughts, Sarah?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much, Felix Flextan Jerejef, with the Gaping ADF. It's really important clarifying and the information and then dissecting, diluting it for nit ñi mun ko understand, ordinary Gambia mun ko understand. And yeah, we should continue. Man li ma dee wax mooy ne rek, whatever we do, yaa ngi ko defal sa boppa. Defaluloo ko kenn sa boppa, because li ma dee wax nit ñi mooy ne ñun ñu toog si diaspora bi, what we know in Gambia, there are lots of Gambians who don't know, and that is a fact as well. Most of us, what we do towards Gambia, there are lots of people sitting in Gambia with the same resources, and they are not doing that. And lima de wax moy ne, whether people talk about ne diaspora be talking as a comfort zone, we are not sitting in our comfort zone because it affects us, because we are feeding families at home. We are now ñu ngi gis trend yoo xam ne you are helping friends. Nit ñi la musuta ñaan ñoo la ñaan léegi. And that's the fact. Nit ñi musuta am interest pour nga helpen ñoo la ask for help, and that's a challenge, because we have our salaries, we have our children, we have our things to do as well, but you have to sacrifice to be able to support. So what is happening at home, lima de wasa, it affects us more than anybody else, because ñun fi mun lo dem fen ne da nga ñaan fen on ken nobody li nga lo liggéey lool la or the state. So we are sitting in a very peculiar situation, and niñ de gis kër tamit it hits, because man dama de wax ne the way they treat us in Europe, niñ ñoo treated with the racism and discrimination is because fuñ jógee la ak naka la suñ dëkkay mel. So yooyu rek la woon ni ñu respecté Chinese bi noonu la ñoo respecté, in fact ni ñu respecté South African bi noonu la ñoo respecté. So these are the things that are so painful. You deal with psychology, finance, and all these things in one. So it is very challenging. So mandama de wane, whatever you do, don't say ne whether I'm doing it for somebody or it's you, because so kerbahe ñun ñëpp la, but somebody has to do the work, because du ñëpp la support, du ñëpp la faale, du ñëpp la taachul. We will be insulting you, man. Every time when you go into my wall, you always have people insulting me, nasty ones, sir. And I don't care. Dama de wane, hey, deka bi dafa wara change. Whether we like it or not, dafa wara change, because look how my ñun ñëpp ay suux. Situation bi nekk nii, it's not sustainable. Just nañ fi Yusuf Taylor ngi explain naka la situation bi mel. Anybody who understand and déglu di nga gis ne ñun ñu ngee suux te waruñ ta suux. Am nañ lépp lu luñ mun a def pour tout parce que nguur goo xam ne yow si lépp ak ñaan nga dëkka kana mun a dëkka si loolu man suma you every day di ko ñaan every day di ko leb at some point Yusuf na ma ne ndey fa naa man tamit amatuma suma waxut directly sax ne dama liggéey dina ne ma tey awma Europe fu mu nekk nii the West is struggling as well. They have their challenges, and I'm saying it 10 to the 11th of December in Brussels there is going to be conversation about poverty in Europe. That's how level lañ dee dem doo musi dégg Africa or even swing government. Let's talk about poverty situation in Gambia. Let's talk about xale yi li ñoo demee back. Let's talk about these issues. Did it because they don't want to buguñ ko wanew buguñ kenn gis ko buguñ kenn xamu ko dañ ko nuba nit yi Europe gis nañ ne problème a ngi ñëw nañ leen oote ñun ñëpp nañ tesee Brussels ñu discuss poverty in Europe. And it was really funny because one time I was in this poverty meeting in Brussels, and then people were wondering when I was like poverty in Norway. They were like, Norway have all this money. Yes, it does have poverty too. It does have people who struggle. State be more they pick up, but there is poverty as well. So these are some of these things we have to conversation. We can continue the cover. And Felix, you're doing a very good job. Don't bother. I don't care. I just say what I want to say. Suma dekala. Ken genuma say opale. Ken genuma call mom. Where even my suma toge Siberia sa. It's my country. I should be able to say something or something. So man lola de wanera. We have to continue because so change your mind. When I didn't understand. Kenen didn't understand. Kenen didn't understand. Tay, we have you here because of lingadef lo lenkis. Then you know this will be important to come and and there are people commenting as well. Those people also and that's how we will continue this change because Gurgi is not sustainable. Either we sink with it or you face reality because they are not doing anything. Nothing is working. Monopoly bingawa Yusuf, the government has turned into a monopoly state where friends send andanori, send supporters, and they job projects in it. And they monopolize it because the only way they can control them is monopolize. So this is a monopoly state already. So free market economy because
free market can then kick to the even GCCPC. Is the Gambia Consumer Competition Protection Commission. You send ligay moneka pour xol yefi free trade yi won len pour ñu stop send yefi data price floor defum ko yefi ground happen na won some years back. I got to understand ñu try am na ñena ñoo xamene xexnen ko mu stop because if I'm suggest you moneka di guess to right now based on these things, but this government is showing you they don't respect free market. Definitely. I'm not aware.
Respect si dara. Linga the lack of responsiveness. We've done a lot of things here. And there's a lot of diaspora you have the skill, the resources, they try to pull it home. Muntadem. Because government is not responding. It's not responding. And there are certain things you cannot do when people are not responding to that. And at the end of the day, you even go into Gambia itself. You also face challenges of the people. But I don't blame the people. Because system be 22 years of dictatorship has taken away integrity, everything from us. Therefore, many human beings numb. And then they underestimate that 22 years is a lot in a human being. So we have all these things together, and government is not interested even to address those issues. So we have a big problem. And government has to go because it's the chunk of our problem. Then we can deal with other things. Because so the state, because leadership la. You also neke siker. Sa papa sa yai. Ñoy neka kilifa. So len gisé ñuy def yena yu wrong. Yo tam si lool nga yaro. Lool nga def. So we have to be able to change the state. We have to, as Gambians, learn to elect and unelect a government. As simple as that. So in try ki demut ñu génné try kale Europe non lañ def ba exi fuñu wara exi suñ try Yusuf demut ñu try Mustafa du demut ñu try Aziz Senya bobu dem. That's how we do it because the more leaders yi gis ne suma fi defut luma war dañ ma
am
génne
option comment replace
dañoo ragal because they will do loolu tax fii loolu la last year we had a situation here this year lañ am election last year the president even on party members yi ñoo ko doon wax ne ko dafa war a step down as a president because seen li fi ni rating bi went the worst 20%. But he called a meeting, they discussed, he went and brought the experts. It's the whole economy turn again. But that is what we should be doing. Because they are just stealing. They are sacha. So can I anyane sacha kat? So these are the things they should get. What you're doing, Felix, thank you so much for the work you're doing. Don't look at anybody. Do it. Whether you're a lone soldier or nobody listen to you, somebody out there would benefit. When we started this civic education program, we never knew people would listen. Now we see people are listening all the way. Mustafa, Gunjur, all these places, there, calls and this and like their shocks and okay, these people are listening. We will change people. We just have to continue and not give up because Dekabi is sinking. And we cannot go with it because to sink in you pay them. So thank you again so much, Felix. I know it's difficult with data, with internet, with everything. Just keep it up. Know that we are listening. And thank you also for the people listening as well. Send comment. Yes, I know that we could take all the comments, but we just want the information to be out there. We just want people to be enlightened. So lot of legal and you comments we just make sure so you guess be explain and you understand. Understand things. And thank you so much, Mustafa, for always keeping this and holding it, chasing everybody, making sure we're here, despite the fact that we also have different things, different time. You make sure we're here. Aziz, thank you so much. And thank you, Suleiman Jeng, who is not here, Saul Baji also, and then Bamba Mas. I mean, this is what we can do. Just bring the information out, go put it out there and continue to repeat it. Because when you repeat and repeat and repeat, people get it. We'll continue. And thank you so much again, Felix. Thank you so much for the job and for the great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ndai. On behalf of all our team here, Civic Education team, we would like to say special thanks and appreciation goes to Mr. Yusuf Taylor Flex Dan. I think it's the second time also, and then it's not going to be the last time. We'll come back here very shortly, okay, as and when we need. So on behalf of all the team here, Philanyo Takato, Dylan Wajirejev, thanks for being here. This program is a weekly program that comes on airs on Sky Power on every Saturday at 1700 hours UK time. On behalf of all the team here, we will say greetings and good evening to you all. Thanks and bye for now.
Thank you.